where are you from?
Well, I'm from the UK, from a little village, and nobody's heard of the little village.
Try me.
Godstone.
Is that in Surrey?
Yep, you've checked that one, haven't you?
No, I haven't, but it rings a bell for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part of England.
It's lovely. It's lovely to go back to now as an adult, but when you're a kid and you're growing up there, it just has to be one of the most boring places.
Not much to do.
No, not much to do. One bus a day. So it was good though. It's a nice place to grow up, and it was very green.
You went to school there?
Went to Godstone Primary School, Oxted Secondary School. So I've always lived in the southeast of England.
Right. And where did you go to university?
Well, it's a bit of a story there actually. I'm not sure whether I want to confess to this or not, but I'm going to, all right?
Okay.
When I was at secondary school, for some reason, I got it into my head that I really wanted to work for the EEC. And as I was really, really good at languages, but not very much else, everyone was saying, yeah, go and work for the EEC, da-da-da-da. And for some reason, I decided to do a trilingual sort of course, specifically to go and work at the EEC, for the EEC. And there was this fantastic sounding course at Birmingham University, okay? Applied for the course, got onto the course, and after a year, after sort of like 2 weeks really, I sort of realised that it wasn't the course for me.
What kind of course was it?
Oh God, it was
translation or?
It was translation, it was geography, it was like presentation giving, but it was really, really dry. And it was really awful because I found myself in a situation where everyone was saying, yeah, you're really good for this on this kind of course, this is the course for you. But somehow inside me, I just knew it wasn't, but I didn't know how to get out of the situation. So I lasted the academic year, and then I dropped out of university. And I thought, God, what do I want to do with my life? And I knew that I didn't want to do anything connected to the EEC. I'd somehow got rid of that idea. And saw a course at Wolverhampton Polytechnic, which was a bit of a come down. Everyone was like, oh no, Polytechnic.
But and the EEC course was in Birmingham?
Birmingham, yeah. And I really liked, there's a lot happening at that time of, of that particular period of time. So anyway, I applied to do this course, which was humanities with drama, and it was like a modular course, so you could choose. I did loads of interesting modules, like, I don't know, French Nouvelle Vague, cinema, women writers, I don't know, and you put everything together, and at the end you got a degree. So my degree is in humanities.
And were you studying Spanish at that time?
As part of the Spanish history, that was part of the Spanish language, that was part of one of the modules, and French and German. So I was studying languages, but not in such a structured sort of like EEC, I want to go and live in Brussels sort of way.
And when you came to Spain, did you come straight to Valencia?
No. I went to Alicante and also went to Madrid. So
and worked in both those cities as a teacher?
As a teacher, yeah. So, and then I came to Valencia.
So your working life has always, like Jill's always been teaching?
Yes.
Really?
Well, no, I used to have quite a good few Saturday jobs, actually. I've always
at university?
Even at secondary school, I had some really, really, really good. I was really lucky.
What kind of things did you do?
Well, I was working in quite sort of trendy clothes shops in, the West End and on the King's Road in London, which was when you're 17.
Yeah.
Is pretty cool. Oh, it was at that time, because you had all these famous people that you'd sort of see on TV, and they'd be going up and down the King's Road.
At that time was buzzing.
At that time,
it
was
the time
it was
to
World's
be there.
End, where the Malcolm McLarens, and there was a lot going on. It was just like, wow, I'm here. And for somebody from Godstone, this tiny village where there was one bus a week or a bus a day, it was like, oh my God. And then I worked for sort of, I had really good summer jobs working for Europe Assistance, where I was sort of helping people with problems while they were on holiday or on the boat. It was just really, really well paid.
So you've stayed in teaching. What do you like about it? What's kept you in teaching for so long?
Keeps me on my toes. It's sort of, every day is different, and I really like the fact that you get to meet so many people, and that you're always having to think about what's going to be good in class, how something's going to work. have an experiment and see if something does work in class, and then maybe adapt it for the next time you use it in class.
And apart from teaching, you have done and you do some materials writing. Can you
That's
speak
right.
a bit about that? How did you get involved in that?
I work as a materials writer for Oxford University Press, and specifically for the English file series of
Which
books.
is an incredibly successful and popular series worldwide.
It is worldwide. I mean, when the two writers who were ex-colleagues of ours here at the British Council, Clive and Christina, started the project, I mean, nobody, I think, even, not even they envisaged or predicted that the books were going to be such a huge success.
Now I remember Clive saying, I'm going to have a break for teaching for a few months and do some, see how it goes.
No,
and
it just went,
always come back.
It's been absolutely marvellous for them and for me as well. Because
and for the students, because it's a wonderful resource.
It's a wonderful resource, and I think most people as teachers would agree that it's a good book, it's a solid course book to have, and for students hopefully who enjoy using the materials which I've prepared.
And what do you personally like about materials writing? What attracts you to it?
Well, it's actually something...
Because it's very different from teaching.
Absolutely, it's very different in the sense that teaching you're having to interact with people.
With students.
With students all the time. When you're materials writing, you're having to interact with yourself and the computer that's in front of you. And just sometimes it just might just involve something I like is just going off and imagining things, and just with a pen and paper. I always have a pen and paper. Now I've got my iPhone with an app that sort of lets me take notes. But you might be I don't know, doing an activity for the sake of argument connected to modal verbs or the present perfect, and you're thinking, oh God, I've really got to think of some sentences here. And it might just not come if you're sitting there like that. But if you go off for a walk, or if you go off on your bicycle,
and you turn it
and you start, I don't know, and suddenly you just get an idea, and you just think, yes, that's it, da-da-da-da. And that's what I like about it. It sort of allows me to have free rein on my imagination, which is...
Going forward, can you see yourself doing more of that in the future and less teaching, or are you happy with the balance that you've got at the moment?
I'm just live for the moment, really, and at the moment I'm happy, really happy where I'm at professionally, and who knows.
If you weren't a teacher for whatever reason, is there another profession that you'd choose? I know you read a lot. Do you ever fancy writing or creative writing?
It would have to be, not really, I don't think, I mean, I read masses, I read loads, you know that, as you just said. But being a writer of fiction doesn't really appeal to me that much. What would have appealed to me is something creative. I don't know, something that would be here after I'd gone, after I'd died. I don't know.
In the music area, or
no, architecture, design, something
design.
Connected to architecture or design. That some people could actually appreciate and think, wow, this is stunning, or this is beautiful.
That's interesting.
And from somewhere I'd be thinking, or not, maybe I wouldn't be thinking, I'd just be thinking, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Or something, a job where I would have to have more guts than I've got. For example, being a journalist, but actually having guts to go and cover a situation where my life might be in danger. That would be my sort of alter ego, and I'm just not a very brave person, I don't think. So either of those two jobs, I think would have been my choice.
Bea, what advice would you give to Spanish students learning English? Spanish speakers learning English?
I think one of the main things is to find a system of teaching that you feel comfortable with. It might just be, an online course where you're just working in front of a computer on your own. But if that system works for you, then go with that system. So my advice would be to go with a way of learning which suits you, and that you feel that you're making good.
And perhaps try different approaches and then choose which one.
Which one you like, okay, but don't feel pressurised into thinking, okay, I have to do this I have to go to the British Council, for example, because if maybe that doesn't really sort of fit in with your style of learning.
That's good advice.
You might just prefer having a one-to-one class with a private teacher. You might prefer to be in a class with lots of other students. I mean, just go with what suits you really, and what your objectives are and what your motivation is. Okay? Can I have a biscuit?
Yes, of course.
It's so nice. I've got a very sweet tooth. That's something you might not know about me.
Bea, what do you do with your free time when you're not teaching?
Aha!
I know you read, so that's one thing.
I do a lot of exercise. I do the usual sort of, go to the cinema. I love seeing my friends, but I also like being on my own. I love travelling. I just like living life, really. And I've got lots of... And I don't usually say no to anything. So if I get an invitation to do something, and I think, for example, the other day I got an invite, you're going to come and see this concert, so and such is playing at the end of May. Never heard of the person. And I thought, okay, well, what do I have to lose? Nothing.
So you're not afraid to try something different?
No, exactly. That's a nice way to put it. Within limits, of course. I mean, I'm not keen on risk sport, so I would never sort of do a parachute jump. I mean, I do have my limits, but I mean, I sort of enjoy lots of things.
Okay.
Without having to resort to the old cliches about
going to the beach.
Yeah, which I do love doing. So I love eating, I love cooking. I mean,
because you cycle around Valencia. Do you go on longer trips with a bike out in the country?
No. Never done that.
Mainly in the city.
Mainly in the city. And it's just, my bicycle is my sort of vehicle to come to work, really. I do occasionally I go down to the beach on my bicycle, but there's a bicycle lane. But no, I've never done any sort of like long cycle trips anywhere.
Okay, Bea, now we're moving into the quickfire hot seat.
Oh.
In which I ask you a series of questions and just tell me what you think.
Oh, God.
The quickfire hot seat.
Nerve-wracking.
What makes you happy?
Lots of things.
Peanut butter cookies.
I love food. So something that makes me happy is sitting in front of good food. Something that makes me happy is thinking, in the mornings when I wake up and I think, I'm here. What am I going to do with my day? If I have a day off, I just think, brilliant, I can do whatever I like, take my watch off, and that feeling of not having to look at the time makes me happy. Spending time with my friends, going for long walks on the beach with a book, and the book can just sort of take me anywhere. So all that, a sunny day like today, a blue sky. I don't know, just like it sounds a bit sort of goody-goody, but I mean, just life makes me happy in general.
And what annoys you? What things annoy you?
There are several things. For example, one of my pet hates is people who eat in cinemas.
With the noisy
popcorn,
or plastic bags.
Or even worse, the ones who give you a running commentary about what's going to happen.
Or the people who go there to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're sitting right behind you all the way through the film.
Absolutely. Travelling with maybe long haul or even short haul, and having a kid who's crying their eyes out, who isn't your kid, and you're kicking the back of your seat when you've got a slip disc, and you've got this kid behind you for the next 12 hours. That's really, really annoying.
Absolutely.
Smugness annoys me.
Smugness in general?
In general. People who are smug annoy me. I've got quite a long list actually. If you've got 5 hours, I can come up. I think those are the sort of the biggies, really.
Okay. What one thing, if you were to tell someone about yourself, would they find it difficult to believe?
I've been a teacher for, since 1986 now, so God knows how many years that is. And something that I'm going to confess to now is that I still get really, really nervous before the start of a new term.
Me too. Before the start of the new year?
No, before the start of the academic year.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea.
It's
pathetic. I don't sleep for about 2 weeks beforehand thinking, oh God, what's going to happen the first day? I don't know anybody. I've got to walk into a classroom stranger.
Is it that we have a break over the summer and we're out of the routine of teaching and suddenly
I don't know, Craig,
you step into the class and there's been this gap of a couple of months without teaching?
I don't know, but I mean, didn't it happen to you yesterday? I mean, we've had a 3-week holiday.
No, it doesn't happen to me as we go from term to term. It happens to me, and I think it's because it's the unknown quantity of the students in the class that you don't know who you're going to get.
Possibly.
And you have to get to know them from the beginning.
Possibly.
Because even though students come into the class during the year, you've got that core of students that you're building up a rapport with during the year. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't affect me so much. But the first lesson of the year,
it gets you.
Butterflies. Bea, which group of people would you like to have at a dinner party? Round a table.
Ooh.
Eating together with you.
That's an interesting question. Well, it'd have to be a group of people, I think, who'd get on with each other. Okay, and my first person on the list would be me. Of course, I want to be there to see.
They can be famous people, by the way.
They can? Or,
yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. The first one I'd go for is my grandmother. She died about 25 years ago. And it's only now, recently, that I started thinking about what happened to her, what kind of life she had.
Were you close?
Yeah, I mean, she was, she lived through the war. I mean, and there are so many things I'd like to ask her now about her brothers and sisters and what she could tell me about her parents, i.e. my great-grandparents. Do you know what I mean? So I think I missed out on that one. So definitely my grandmother.
Okay.
Have to be my favourite writer, a guy called Stefan Zweig, who could sort of bring in the literary touch to the evening, from Vienna,
okay.
Not a German speaker. Mm-hmm. A painter called Egon Schiele, again from Vienna, so there wouldn't be any problem with conversation because they both speak German. Mm-hmm. We need a bit of a balance with women, I think. So I'd go for the journalist Marie Colvin, who was a Times journalist who was killed in Syria in 2012. I mean, she's one of the women or people I most admire. And I just loved it. How
was she killed?
She was killed in an attack. Yeah, it was in the war, so it was in Homs. She was killed. And another woman, Lee Miller, the photographer.
That's quite a group of artists and writers.
I know. I can't think of anyone scientisty, really, or
Stephen Hawking? Oh, no. Too heavy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just, I mean, yes, I know, but I just not really I don't know. I'm just not a science.
Einstein seems to be quite a laugh because if you read some of his quotes and lighter stuff,
I think he'd be a bit of an attention seeker.
Maybe. A bit of an ego in the room.
Yeah, and the rest are all sort of low-key people. My poor grandmother, I mean, she might have problems with Einstein, so we'll leave Einstein out of it.
We'll leave Einstein out of the equation. If you could change something about your character, what would you change?
Oof. Don't you think it's always really difficult to try and sort of look at yourself? Probably I'm a person, it might surprise you and people who know me, I'm quite quick to judge. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to change it, I'm trying to modify.
Can you be more specific? Do you mean if you meet somebody, you make your mind up within the first few seconds?
Absolutely.
And you tend to close your...
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Your mind to...
Oh, I don't like that person because maybe because of their political beliefs or because of the way... I don't know, they express something, or I don't know, something, or something they think is funny and I don't think is funny. And I think, okay, not interested. Or I just sort of... And then you find maybe you do get past that And this has happened to me, which is why I suppose I'm trying to sort of modify that kind of trait.
If you had €6,000 to spend on yourself, what would you spend it on?
Definitely travelling. If you gave me €6,000 right now, I'd be off. I'd leave you with a camera there, you sitting there, and I'd go to a computer and get myself. I'd go online.
Any particular place that you'd like to visit?
There are millions of places. You see, that would be something I would like to be able to do before I'm too old or too decrepit to sort of, pull my trolley along. You give me 6,000, and I wouldn't want to go to a sort of, I wouldn't want to go to I don't want to sort of see too much suffering. It's a bit middle class. But
right.
If you're giving me 6,000, I want to be able to not have to see people suffering.
And of the places that you've been to already, is there one that sticks out as being very special?
There are several. Depending on lots of factors. Well, not lots of factors, but one of the most important things was who you were with at the time. So maybe if you go with somebody you're in love with, and it might be the worst place on earth, but simply because you're with that person.
Right, makes it special.
Of course I have. Yeah. Or similarly, the opposite could be true. It could be a stunning place. Mm-hmm. But because you're with somebody you're not really into, or because you're with the wrong group of people, or whatever,
it's a bad experience.
It's a bad experience. So,
yeah.
But for example, Sweden stands out for me. Mm-hmm. It was just, I went on my own, and lots of architecture, lots of cultural input. So I enjoyed it.
Bea, thank you very much.
Very welcome, Craig.
What do you like about it? What's kept you in teaching so long?
Keeps me on my toes. Being a writer of fiction doesn't really appeal to me that much. A job where I would have to have more guts than I've got. For example, being a journalist, but actually having the guts to go and cover a situation where Well, it'd have to be a group of people, I think, who'd get on with each other.